Okay, so for writing today, you should have gotten this chart. If you didn't, it's okay. We can take care of that when I get back, but hopefully you got this chart. And it's advice for developing a character because on Friday you were supposed to work on your plot maps for your fiction story that needed to be about the topics. So fracking, e-waste, space junk, and water inequality. And as a reminder, you couldn't choose a new topic. It had to be the same topic that your informative and your persuasive papers were about. So you're working on your fiction, which can really be any kind of fiction as long as you're remembering that you need to include a lot of the facts because you want it to be really about um, telling a story about people who are involved in that topic that you had. So hopefully that's what you did on Friday, and if not, you can catch up with that today as well. But this is the chart, and you should have already read it. You can read it. I'm not going to read it here. But what I want you to do today in your notebook is I want you to go through these things and also continue to review these things as you are working on your story. Because I know the way a lot of you like to do it is just to start writing, but hopefully you completed your plot map so that your story in the end will make sense, like you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But we've done this before, so at the bottom in your notebook page, I want you to start thinking about your character. And so let's say that your character is Max. That's what name you want to give your character. And you want to think of all the things about Max. So maybe you start off with physical qualities, like you want to make him short for his age, and you want to make him have glasses, and you can think about some of the clothes that he might wear, and you want to be able to picture that. I'm going to, if I were making somebody, I would say that he's kind of slouchy and messy. So I would picture him with his shirt untucked and his hair kind of bedhead and things like that. But then the real point, though, is to talk about what kind of a person you would want him to be. So I'm going to make him curious. If I can spell that correctly. Start over. Make him curious. I'm going to make him, also going to make him cautious. I'm not going to make him particularly brave. And for some reason I can't seem to spell tonight. Make him curious but cautious. So he wants to know things, but he's definitely not going to be the first person to volunteer for things, and he's not going to be the first person to run into some sort of adventure. He might end up in an adventure, but he's going to be cautious about it. I also want to make him sensitive, like his feelings get hurt easily and things like that. So I just want to start with these things. So in my story, I don't want to come right out and say that he's short. I'm gonna in my story, I would have a scene where he looks around and notices he's looking up at most of his classmates. And I'm just going to make sure that when I tell my story that I include some kind of scene that's like that. Okay? In with the glasses, I'm going to have some scene where his glasses break at gym, and that's just how I'm going to address that he wears glasses. The slouchy and messy thing, I'm going to make that happen a lot during the story where people say things like his mom is always telling him to stand up straight. My mom used to say that. I'm going to have him have an older sister who says things like, dang, tuck your shirt in, with that kind of older sister attitude. I'm going to include things like that. I'm not going to say that he's slouchy and messy. I'm just going to have other people interact with him in a way that tells me that he's slouchy and messy. Same thing about being curious and cautious and sensitive, right? I want to make sure that I have things planned in my story that are going to show these things. So maybe with the curious, I'm going to tell a lot about what he's thinking. I might have a lot of thought bubbles with, like, I wonder. When I picture the story, he's walking around, I wonder about this, I wonder about that. and I can make sure that I do that. I want to make him cautious, though. I'm going to say that his teacher keeps him after class once to tell him he wishes he'd participate more. Those kinds of things. And I'm out of room and I don't want to make this video super long, so you can go ahead and start on your work too. But these are the kinds of things you're thinking, right? The whole idea is that you don't have to have every single thing in your story planned before you start typing it, because I understand that sometimes you just want to be creative and the ideas come to you as you're working. But you want your character to be well developed. And the only way to have your character be well developed is decide about your character before you start writing. What kind of a person is this going to be, and what are the kinds of things that are going to happen in your story to prove that? And one of the best ways to tell about a character is how they interact with other people. So I want you to list those things out today. If you finish early, you have 2 choices. You can go on with another character and start developing other major characters in your story, or you can go ahead and start working. But I want you to use this time today for writing. All right? Good luck.